never thought I'd be the guy posting about this kind of mess, but here I am. My name, Jack, and I've been married to Emily for 5 years now. At first, everything seemed perfect, or at least I thought it was. We met in college, immediately clicked, and I honestly thought she was the one. She's gorgeous, smart, a little bitchy when she's annoyed, but I always just chalked that up to her being a fiery personality. We had our ups and downs, sure, but I never imagined it would come to this kind of betrayal. Lately, though, I've been noticing subtle signs that something was off. It started small. She'd be a little distant at times, distracted even during sex, which I thought was weird. Emily's pretty high maintenance, so I figured she just wasn't in the mood, or maybe she was stressed about work. Still, I thought I knew her well enough to notice when something was bothering her, but I kept quiet. I didn't want to seem paranoid. Then came the little lies, excuses about being late, needing to stay late at work, or saying she was meeting up with her friends when I could tell she was hiding. What really tipped me off was her phone. She kept it close, more than usual. I'd catch her glancing at it nervously or hiding it when I walked into the room. I didn't want to invade her privacy, but I couldn't shake this feeling that she was hiding something. One night, I decided to test her. I casually reached for her phone while she was in the shower, hoping to find some kind of proof or at least get a sense of what she was hiding. When I unlocked her phone, I didn't find any explicit texts or pictures at first. Instead, I saw a string of messages with someone named Alex. Nothing too obvious, just casual conversations about work, some teasing, a few flirty emojis. But then I noticed that the timestamps were strange. She'd been texting him late at night, sometimes at odd hours that she claimed she was asleep or working late. The conversations looked innocent on the surface, but the timing and her nervousness told a different story. I also caught a glimpse of her recent calendar on her phone. She had marked meeting with Alex multiple times, even when she told me she was. At the gym, I started digging deeper. I installed a little monitoring app, just enough to see her online activity without her knowing. It wasn't long before I confirmed what I'd been suspecting. Emily was cheating on me. I collected enough evidence, screenshots, timestamps, and even some voice recordings of her and Alex talking late at night. I was devastated. I'd never felt such a mix of anger, heartbreak, and confusion all at once. But what hurt the most was her reaction when I confronted her. I waited until she came home from her meeting, knowing she'd be surprised I knew everything. Her face was a mask of defiance when I threw the evidence on the table. She scoffed, rolled her eyes, and started lying her ass off. Said that Alex was just a friend, that I was paranoid, that she'd never cheat on me. She called me crazy, accused me of spying, and then spun some bullshit about how she was under stress and that I should overreact. Her reaction made my blood boil. It was like she thought she could lie her way out of everything, like I was stupid for finding out. But I wasn't stupid. I saw her nervous glances, the way she avoided eye contact, and her shaky voice when she insisted she was innocent. It was all so typical, her trying to twist the story, deny everything, make herself the victim. But I wasn't buying it anymore. That night I felt my world crushing down around me. I'd trusted her with everything, my heart, my future, my life. And she had been sleeping with someone else behind my back. The betrayal cut deep. I'd always believed in honesty, in loyalty, and I got nothing but lies and cheap excuses. I didn't sleep that night, lying awake while my mind raced through all the moments I'd missed, all the signs I'd ignored, and the fact that I'd been so blind to who she really was. It was the beginning of something I didn't see coming. The start of a long, painful process of figuring out what to do next. I knew I couldn't just pretend it didn't happen, but I also didn't want to jump to conclusions without planning a proper response. I had a lot of questions. Was this just a fling, or had she been doing this for months? Did she love him? Did she feel guilty, or did she just not care about what I felt? I'll tell you, the betrayal hit me harder than I expected. It's not just about the cheating, it's about the fact that I was completely blindsided. I thought I knew her, but I was wrong. And now I had to figure out whether to fight for this mess or cut her loose for good. The next morning, I woke up feeling like I'd been hit by a truck. My head was pounding, and everything inside me was screaming to confront her again, to demand answers. But I knew I had to play it smart. I needed to control the situation before she spun any more lies or tried to manipulate me into second-guessing what I saw. That's when I decided I'd get to the bottom of this once and for all. She was already up, brushing her teeth, acting like nothing had happened. She threw on her typical bitchy attitude when she caught me staring at her. "What are you looking at, Jack? You look like you've seen a ghost," she snapped, that bitter edge in her voice. Normally, I'd brush it off, but today I felt different. Today, I was planning my move. I waited until she was in the kitchen pretending to be busy with her coffee, and then I laid it out straight. I told her I knew about her affair, about Alex, and I had all the evidence. Her reaction was classic. She scoffed, rolled her eyes, and started with her usual bullshit, saying I was crazy, paranoid, insecure. "You're just jealous because I was having some fun. It's not a big deal," she spat. "Yeah, sure, fun." That's what she called it, like it was some harmless distraction. I stood there feeling my blood boil, and I told her she could lie all she wanted, but I wasn't stupid. I explained how I'd seen the texts, checked her schedule, and even recorded her voice calls. Her face turned red, then pale. She clenched her fists, trying to stay calm, but her eyes betrayed her. She was caught, and she knew it. Still, she kept up the act, insisting she'd never cheat, that Alex was just a coworker, and that this was all some misunderstanding. That's when I snapped. I told her I didn't want her excuses, didn't want her lies. I was done listening to her bullshit. If she'd cheat on me, then she didn't really love me. I told her I was sick of her bitchy attitude, her lies, and her manipulations. I was tired of pretending everything was fine when clearly it was. I told her I deserved better than this, someone who wouldn't screw around behind my back, who wouldn't lie about everything. She looked at me like I'd slapped her. Her mouth opened, but no words came out at first. Then she started crying, fake tears I could tell, trying to appear innocent or maybe just trying to guilt me into backing down. "You're overreacting," she wailed. "It's not what you think. You're crazy, Jack. You're just insecure." I didn't buy it. I had the evidence, and her tears only made me angrier. I told her to pack her shit and leave. I didn't want her in my house anymore. I needed space to breathe, to think. She yelled, called me a controlling asshole, and accused me of trying to ruin her life. But the truth was, I was trying to save mine. I couldn't stay married to someone who lied so easily, who cheated without remorse, and who thought she could wave her hand and dismiss everything. After she stormed out, I stayed there, feeling numb. My apartment was dead silent, like a grave. I kept looking at the evidence I'd gathered, screenshots of her texts, the voice recordings, and I realized I'd never trusted her fully, but I also never expected her to betray me so completely. It was like a punch to the gut every time I thought about the times she told me she loved me, the times I believed she was faithful. The emotional aftermath was brutal. I went from angry to deeply hurt, then to a hollow kind of sadness I couldn't shake. I kept asking myself how I missed the signs, how I let her get away with it for so long. The worst part was knowing she'd been lying to my face, pretending everything was fine while she was sneaking around with Alex. I felt stupid, betrayed, and honestly, a little embarrassed that I'd been so blind. But beneath all that, I also felt a strange sense of clarity. I started picturing my next steps. I knew I couldn't stay in this mess. The trust was gone, shattered beyond repair. I'd invested so much into this marriage, my time, my heart, my future, and she'd thrown it away for some meaningless sex. That realization only fueled my desire to get out, to reclaim my life. The thing about betrayal, I learned, is that it leaves deep scars, but it also forces you to see things clearly. I'd been giving her everything, my love, my loyalty, and she'd just thrown it back in my face. Now I had to decide whether to fight for a marriage that was already broken or to cut my losses and move on. Honestly, I've never felt so exhausted and angry at the same time. I kept telling myself I deserved better than the kind of woman who would cheat and lie so casually. So I started making plans. I was going to get my own place, figure out a way to detach emotionally from her lies and start rebuilding. It's not easy, and I'm still hurting, but I know I'll come out of this stronger. I just wish I'd seen the signs earlier, wish I hadn't been so blind to what she really was. But now I know. Trust is fragile, and once broken, it's nearly impossible to repair. After I told her to pack her things and leave, I felt a strange mix of relief and emptiness. It was like finally cutting a limb that had been festering for too long, but at the same time, I knew I was losing someone I once loved, someone I thought was my partner for life. The silence in my apartment was deafening. I kept staring at the evidence I'd gathered, screenshots of her texts, voice recordings, her calendar entries, and I couldn't help but replay everything in my mind. For a few days, I tried to carry on as normal as I could. Went to work, kept up appearances, but inside I was a mess. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her face, the way she lied and tried to gaslight me, the way her voice cracked when she pretended innocence. It made me furious, but also deeply sad. I'd trusted her for so long, believed she was the one, and now I was left with nothing but betrayal and shattered illusions. The thing that gnawed at me most was her insistence that she didn't do anything wrong, that I was overreacting, that I was paranoid. Her words echoed in my head, but I knew better. I knew the truth. She'd been sneaking around with Alex probably for months, and what stung even more was realizing how she'd lied to me every step of the way. She's the kind of person who can lie effortlessly, who can manipulate her way out of anything. That realization made me question everything about her personality, about what I thought I knew. I was starting to feel the sting of regret too. Regret for not catching her sooner, for not noticing the warning signs earlier. I kept thinking about the moments I ignored her distant attitude, the times she brushed off my questions with dismissive smirks. Now it all made sense. She was cheating, and I was just too blind or too trusting to see it. I wondered how many other guys she'd do this with, how many lies she'd told, how many more secrets she was hiding. It felt like a betrayal of trust so profound, I didn't even recognize her anymore. It took me a while to accept that I couldn't fix this alone. I had to let go of her, cut the cord, and move forward. But I also knew I had to understand what this all meant. I started researching her behavior, trying to get into her mind, understand her motivations. I read about narcissists, manipulative people, cheaters, anything that could give me a clue about what made her tick. I couldn't stand the idea that I'd been living with someone so fundamentally different from who I thought she was. Meanwhile, I kept replaying the moments when I first suspected something was wrong. The late-night texts, the secretive glances, her defensiveness when I brought up her schedule. Every sign was there, but I ignored it because I loved her, because I wanted to believe in us. I told myself I was overthinking, that maybe I was just insecure or stressed out. But now I see how blind I'd been. I'd missed the signs because I didn't want to see the truth. The emotional toll was heavy. I felt angry, betrayed, humiliated. I felt like I'd been played for a fool, and maybe I had been for a while. I kept asking myself how she could do this, how someone who'd once claimed to love me could so easily discard that love and cheat behind my back. It was hard to reconcile that image of her with the woman I'd built my life around. I felt a deep sense of loss, not just of the marriage but of the trust I'd had in everything we shared. Some nights, I'd lie awake, staring at the ceiling, wondering if I'd ever fully recover from this. Would I be able to trust anyone again? Would I find someone who wouldn't betray me? Or was this just part of life, learning the hard way that sometimes the people closest to you are the ones who hurt you the most? I kept telling myself I'd get through it, that I'd come out stronger, but right now, it just felt like I was drowning in a sea of confusion and pain. In the quiet, I also started questioning my own role in this. Did I miss the signs? Was I too caught up in work or in my own head to notice how distant she'd become? Maybe I was too trusting, too eager to believe that she'd never do something like this. That's a hard pill to swallow, that maybe I could have done more, seen more clearly, or been more perceptive. But the truth is, you never expect someone you love to betray you this way. You just don't. And that's what's so fucked up about it. The betrayal isn't just about her stepping out. It's about the way she lied, the way she made me doubt myself, the way she devalued what we had so casually. I kept thinking about how I might have been too easy on her, how I might have missed the warning signs because I didn't want to face what might be true. Now I realize that sometimes love isn't enough to hold everything together. Sometimes people just don't care enough, or worse, they care too little to even try to hide it. I'm not sure where I go from here. Part of me wants revenge to make her feel the pain she's caused me. But the smarter part knows that's not the way to heal. I need to focus on myself, rebuild what's broken, and figure out what I want moving forward. She's gone, and honestly, I don't think I want her back. Not after all this. The trust is shattered, and I don't see how we can fix it. But I do know one thing. I'll never let myself be blind again. If someone shows signs of being a liar or a cheater, I'll see right through it next time. That's the lesson I've learned. It's been a few days since she left, and I've spent most of that time just sitting in my apartment, trying to process everything. Honestly, it's like my mind is a war zone. One part of me wants to completely cut her out, erase her from my life, and never look back. The other part, stupidly, still mourns the woman I thought I knew. But the truth is, that woman was a mask, and behind it was someone I barely recognize anymore. I started digging into everything I could about her behavior, trying to understand what kind of person she really is. I mean, I get it now. The way she lied, the way she manipulated me into thinking everything was fine. She's good at hiding her true self behind a bitchy attitude and a fake smile, but I've seen through enough to realize she's a master of deception. That's what hurts the most, knowing she's been lying to my face for months, maybe longer, and I was too blind or too in love to see it. I also started thinking about the aftermath, the ripple effect this has on my life. I was so invested in building a future with her, imagining the house, the kids, the stability. All of that just evaporated in one night. Now I'm left with a mess of emotions, anger, sadness, confusion, and a new sense of vulnerability I didn't have before. I thought I knew her, but I guess I never really did. And maybe I never knew what kind of betrayal I was capable of enduring. The worst part is that her excuses still ring in my ears. She's trying to tell me that Alex was just a coworker, that it was all innocent, that she doesn't even know what she was feeling. Yeah, right. I know her too well now. She's the type that can lie so convincingly it's almost scary. I caught her in too many little lies over the years, about where she was, who she was with, and now I realize she's just a pro at hiding her true intentions. I wonder how many other guys she's played the same game with. I started to feel this strange sense of empowerment, though. Like, yeah, I got played, but I also got a wake-up call. I started making plans to move forward, not just to leave her behind, but to rebuild myself. I've been reading about emotional resilience, about how to pick yourself up after a betrayal like this. Honestly, I don't know how long it'll take, but I know I can't stay stuck in this place of heartbreak forever. One thing I've realized is that I need to stop blaming myself so much. Sure, maybe I missed some signs, but that doesn't mean I deserve to be lied to and cheated on. Love isn't just about being naive. It's about trusting someone enough to be vulnerable, and she abused that trust. That's on her, not me. I have to accept that sometimes, no matter how much you love someone, they're just not who you thought they were. I also started thinking about what I'd do if she tries to come back, or if I run into her again. Honestly, I don't want her anymore. I want someone who respects me, who values loyalty and honesty. That's what I deserve. I know now that I'm better off alone than with someone who cares so little about the vows we made. It's a harsh lesson, but one I needed to learn. Trust is earned, and she threw it all away for a quick fuck with Alex. I've been talking to a few close friends about it, and their advice has helped me keep my head above water. They tell me to focus on myself, to get therapy if I need it, and to remember that this isn't the end of my story. I keep telling myself that too. I'll survive this. I'll come out stronger. But I also know there's a long road ahead, one filled with pain, anger, and moments of doubt. Part of me still feels this strange guilt, like I should have done more, been more attentive. But I know deep down that I can't fix her, can't change what she did. The only thing I can do now is focus on myself. I've started working out again, trying to get my mind off her, and honestly, it's helping. Physical activity clears my head, and I've realized I need to take better care of myself, mentally, emotionally, and physically. One thing I won't do is let her break me. That's what she wanted, I think. She wanted to manipulate me into feeling like I was crazy, make me doubt myself so I'd stay in the dark. Well, I'm done with that. I see her for who she is now, and frankly, I don't want someone like that in my life anymore. I've got to rebuild, to find my way back from this betrayal, and I will. Looking back, I've learned a lot about trust, about the kinds of people who are willing to throw everything away for some fleeting pleasure, and about the importance of listening to my instincts. I know now that I should never ignore the warning signs, those little red flags that pop up when someone's lying or hiding something. If I had paid more attention earlier, maybe I could have saved myself some heartbreak. But then again, maybe not. Some people are just wired that way, selfish, manipulative, and dishonest. So I'm taking it one day at a time. No rush to move on or forget. I know I'll heal, even if it feels impossible right now. And I'll make sure that next time, I don't let anyone get that close without earning my trust. Because betrayal is a bitch, and once you've been through it, you see the world a little differently. I just hope I never have to go through this again. It's been a few weeks since she moved out, and I can't say I've fully healed, but I've definitely come to a point where I can breathe a little easier. The initial shock has worn off, replaced by a simmering anger that I've learned to control. I still think about her every day, how she lied, how she betrayed me, how I was so blind for so long. But I also realize that holding onto that anger isn't helping me move forward. I need to channel it into something productive, into rebuilding myself. I've started seeing a therapist, not because I think I'm crazy, but because I need to understand what happened and, more importantly, how to prevent it from happening again. Talking to someone neutral has helped me process a lot of the feelings I bottled up: hurt, betrayal, confusion. She's helped me see that I wasn't at fault for her cheating, that I should never have tolerated her disrespect, and that I deserve honesty and loyalty. It's a tough pill to swallow, but I know it's necessary for my healing. Meanwhile, I've been focusing on my career and my friends. I threw myself back into work. And surprisingly, that gave me some stability. My friends have been a huge support. They listen when I need to vent, tell me I'm better off without her, and remind me of my worth. One of them even helped me find a good apartment nearby so I can start fresh. Honestly, just having a plan gives me a sense of control I hadn't felt in a long time. I've also been reflecting on what I learned from all this. I used to think love meant never doubting someone, but now I see it's about trust and mutual respect. If those aren't present, then what's the point? I realize I need someone who values honesty, who won't lie or cheat, no matter how tempting it might be. I won't settle for less anymore. Of course, old feelings still surface. There are moments when I get angry, especially when I see couples walking hand in hand or hear stories of long, loyal relationships. It's hard not to feel bitter or like I've been robbed of something special. But I also remind myself that I'm better off without someone who doesn't respect me. The pain is still there, but I'm learning to let it go little by little. Honestly, I've thought about reaching out to her, just to hear her side, to ask what made her do this. But part of me knows that's not worth it. She's already shown what she's capable of: lies, deception, betrayal. She's not the woman I fell in love with. Trying to get closure from her would only reopen wounds I'm trying to heal. So I'm choosing to focus on myself instead. One of the biggest lessons I've learned is that I can survive things I never thought I could. I thought I loved her, but I realize now that real love is built on trust and respect. Without those, it's just an illusion. I won't let her take away my peace again. I'm done chasing after her or trying to fix what was broken. Instead, I'm building a new life, one where I'm the priority and my boundaries are clear. Looking ahead, I know I'll probably meet someone new someday, someone who treats me right, who values honesty, and who doesn't cheat or lie. But right now, I'm not rushing into anything. I need to be alone for a bit to rediscover who I am without her. The biggest thing I've realized is that I don't need someone to complete me. I need to be complete myself. And that's the goal now, to become the best version of myself, regardless of whether I find love again or not. This whole experience has been a brutal lesson, but it's also made me stronger. I don't trust her anymore, and honestly, I don't want to. I've learned to recognize red flags early, to listen to my gut, and to never sell myself short. No matter how much I loved her, that wasn't enough to keep her faithful or honest. That's a hard truth to swallow, but it's one I'll carry with me moving forward. So yeah, I'm still healing, still figuring out how to move on. But I know this, I'll get through it. I'll find happiness again, even if it takes time. And next time I'll be smarter, more cautious, and more aware that not everyone who says they love you is worth trusting blindly. Sometimes you have to lose everything to realize your worth. And I've finally started to see mine. Looking back now, I realize that losing her was one of the hardest lessons I've ever had to face. It's strange how life throws these brutal curveballs, making you question everything you thought was solid. I thought I built a future with Emily, a future that included trust, loyalty, and shared dreams. Instead, I got a harsh dose of reality. People can surprise you in the worst ways, and sometimes the ones closest to you are also the ones capable of the deepest betrayals. The process of healing has been slow, but I've come to accept that part of me needed to go through this to truly appreciate what I deserve. I've learned that love isn't just about feeling good in the moment. It's about respect, honesty, and mutual effort. Without those, all the passion and chemistry mean nothing. I refuse to be in a relationship where I'm constantly questioning, where I have to second-guess every word, every action. This whole ordeal has also made me more cautious about who I let into my life, more aware of red flags I ignored before. I've become better at listening to my instincts, that gut feeling that tells you something's wrong even when your mind wants to ignore it. I don't regret loving her. How could I? Love is a beautiful thing, but it's also fragile. It needs to be nurtured and protected by honesty. When that breaks down, everything else crumbles quickly. In a way, I'm grateful for this experience because it forced me to confront my own vulnerabilities and understand that I don't have to accept betrayal or disrespect. I've started to rebuild my confidence, piece by piece. I've realized I don't need someone to complete me. I need to be whole first. My happiness isn't dependent on her or anyone else. It's something I have to create for myself, one day at a time. I've also come to see that sometimes, letting go is the most powerful thing you can do. Holding onto anger, resentment, or guilt only keeps you chained to the past. But forgiving doesn't mean forgetting. It means choosing to move forward without carrying the weight of what happened. I've decided to forgive myself for ignoring the signs, and I've decided to forgive her for her betrayal, not because she deserves it, but because I deserve peace. The final realization is that life goes on. I've lost something precious, but I've also gained clarity. I know now that I am stronger than I thought, strong enough to survive heartbreak and emerge on the other side. I will never let anyone manipulate or deceive me again. I will love again someday, but this time I'll be more cautious, more aware of my worth. So I'm moving forward. I've already started rebuilding my life, focusing on my career, my friends, and myself. I don't have all the answers yet, and that's okay. I'm learning to accept that some wounds take time to heal and some lessons are learned only through pain. But I know one thing for sure, I am done with her. Done with the lies, the betrayal, the fake smiles. I've seen her true face and I refuse to be blind again. This story isn't about her anymore. It's about me reclaiming my life and my happiness. Trust is something I'll never take for granted again. Loyalty isn't just a word, it's a foundation. And now I'm finally building mine back, stronger, wiser, and more cautious than ever before.